What's up, everyone? So today I want to present to you a new concept that I've been thinking about, or maybe it's an old concept that I just haven't heard anybody else really like talking about. I've coined it the Avatar Acumen. Now, I don't know how familiar any of you guys are with Avatar The Last Airbender, not the blue people, but Aang with the four elements and all of that, kind of like a Buddhist type of spiritualist background to it. So Avatar The Last Airbender, for those of you who don't really watch the show, it's pretty much about a boy who was trapped in a iceberg pretty much for 100 years, I believe. And when he came back out, he was rescued, and when he came back out, he was known as the Avatar, or he always was the Avatar, and during like a fight then he vanished and everything. The Avatar is supposed to be pretty much the mediator that brings all of the other four countries pretty much like together. He's supposed to be like the middle person that helps dissolve the war that's going on between all the other benders. So the main character, Aang, who is known as the Avatar, is actually capable of doing this thing where every now and then he's able to speak with and communicate with the past avatars. This is when he speaks to the most previous avatar right before him, which was Avatar Roku, and he asks Avatar Roku for a lot of advice. Avatar Roku was a firebender who had a dragon as something to like his spirit animal pretty much, and then Aang, who's an airbender, he has Appa, which is pretty much a bison that can fly. I know, very creative show. Looking through all of the past avatars, Aang is able to communicate with numerous of them throughout the seasons and get various points of perspectives and advice and all of that. And this helps Aang to actually defeat the antagonist at the end of the day, which is not really like a big spoiler because I'm pretty sure that you guys should have figured that that's pretty much how it's going to end, but you just don't know how that exactly happens. So that ability to be able to communicate with the past avatars and get advice from them is pretty much what I call the Avatar Acumen. And this kind of concept, I've seen it be produced in many other TV shows and movies as well, such as The Lion King, Dragon Ball Z, and even the Black Panther. Now, I just want to make a disclaimer saying that I do not necessarily believe in reincarnation. I don't really believe in the ability to communicate with people in the past, or I don't believe in the whole concept of my dead great ancestors are in heaven looking down on me and watching over me and things along those lines. I do believe that they're in heaven, and if they were saved, that is, and that's my personal opinion, my personal view. But I do believe that personally speaking, that if they did receive Jesus Christ as their personal Savior and all of that, then yeah, they were received into heaven. But I do not believe they have that ability up there in heaven to watch over our every move from up and above, if anything. So yeah, that's kind of my disclaimers. And like I said, once again, I don't believe in the whole concept of reincarnation, dying and then being reborn in another body or as a different animal or anything along those lines. And of course, there's no really real way to know this for sure, unless if you actually experienced it or some way. So everybody really is up to their own perspective, to their own opinion, and I respect all opinions, but I'm just making that disclaimer that as a Christian, that's not personally what I believe. However, from looking at these shows and these movies and observing that kind of concept, I kind of at least like it from an artistic point of view. And the way that I've even started to relate to it is not necessarily by communicating with my past ancestors, but the whole idea of getting advice, wisdom, and pretty much overall counseling and mentorship from past ENFJs, which is my personality type. And that's kind of where this whole Avatar Acumen thing comes together. When you look at, Dragon Ball Z, for example, where Goku, which was Gohan's father, had died, and then Goku gave Gohan that advice that he needed to defeat Cell, and he joined him in doing that last Kamehameha wave, then that's what I would call an example of the Avatar Acumen, When you look at the example of Simba, when Rafiki was all like, "You don't know who you are," and he's staring into the water, and he's like, "Oh, that's just my reflection." And then Rafiki's like, "No, you have to look closer." And so he looks down at the water, and then he sees Mufasa, or even he sees Mufasa like up in the sky, in the stars. And Mufasa is all like, "You have forgotten who you are, my son," and all of that. And he gives him mentorship, that guidance, that counseling, even though he's dead. I see that's what I would call personally the Avatar Acumen. When Aang communicates with his past lives, his past avatars and everything, the past avatars, and gets mentorship and everything from them, I call that the Avatar Acumen. Because I don't believe in those things per se, the way that I relate it to real life is I think of the idea of if I'm pretty much the avatar per se, then the past avatars for me would be people like Martin Luther King Jr. and Nelson Mandela and Maya Angelou, all of the past great ENFJs. And so for any other personality type, they could do the same thing. And there's a lot of mistypes online, so try and make sure that it's actually accurate. If you want me to look into someone, I could help you out with that. Just comment, oh, I don't know. But I can't guarantee that I'll get to everyone, but I will try my best. What I do is I look at their lives. I've read books on Martin Luther King Jr. I've read books on Nelson Mandela. I've read books on Oprah Winfrey. I've read books on Maya Angelou. I've read their books, and I've listened to their speeches. I've listened to all of their stuff. And as you can see, I even mentioned Oprah Winfrey, and there's a lot of other ENFJs who are alive today. Even Elliot Hulse, who I look at, and I look at everything that they're doing right, and I try to embody that. I try to bring that into my own everyday living. And then I look at everything that they may have done wrong or that they are doing wrong that is just not my taste. And I take note of that, and I try to make sure to avoid that. Martin Luther King Jr., who was a great man. And like I spoke about in the video, our heroes are human. Pretty much we all know that Martin Luther King Jr. Made a lot of mistakes, as he was, coming up and as he was alive and everything. And we accept those, hopefully I accept those, but I look at those mistakes and I try to make sure that I do not make those same mistakes instead. And instead I look at the things that made him successful, and I try to focus on that. It's okay, me and him process and think of the world similarly. So what did he do right that I could take and then maybe even improve upon while he's gone? That'll make him proud. And I know that he's not necessarily watching me from the dead or anything, but if he were to be, then what could I be doing that could evidently show that, okay, he learned that from my life, and he's using my legacy to even better polish it and further my dream, which is ultimately, maybe his mentor's dreams and then their mentor's dreams and all of that. So it's kind of like a continuation of whatever they already started from the past. Once again, as a Christian, I look at Jesus as the ultimate mentor, as the ultimate person that I'm trying to be like. And then, you look at the other biblical characters as well, those who may be more similar to you, then you can use them as secondary avatar acumens in a way. But for those of you Christians out there, as you already know, look towards Jesus, always trying to strive to be more like Jesus, but also open up your view to learning from other people who were also Christians or maybe even weren't Christians, but you can still use their skills to better live out your Christian life. And this doesn't have to be limited, once again, to people who are dead. And also, this doesn't even have to be limited to people of your type. In fact, I advise you that you make your type, the people who are your type, your number one, because nobody will be able to understand you, and or you won't be able to understand those like other people as much as you'll be able to understand those who perceive the world the same as you do and make decisions in the same way as you do. And so looking at what they've done and what they go for and all of that, that'll really be a great help to you. And then also looking at your introverted or extroverted counterparts types, that'll really help too, because that helps you with that auxiliary function that I always talk about, that co-pilot, where a lot of us may need a little bit of work. And this also, once again, does not have to be limited to real people. A lot of my mentors are actually fictional characters. I always talk about Raymond Reddington, who's an ENFJ, the main character from The Blacklist. And I watch him and I learn so much from him. My father is an ENFJ, and although he's not a fictional character, he learns a lot from mafia movies. Like, he absolutely loves movies such as The Godfather, and I know I'm 23 years old and I still haven't seen that movie, but I'm planning to watch the whole trilogy this year. I'm going to watch that movie. I saw Heat, though, and that was a good movie. I watched that about a couple months ago, back in February. So I'm catching up on all of these things. But yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you can look at these fictional characters, you can learn from them. I watched Safe House with Tobin Frost, Denzel Washington playing as Tobin Frost, and I learned a lot from that, which is pretty much the same thing as, Blacklist in a way. Even Hans from Frozen, things along those lines. Like, what did he do right? What did he do wrong? You could even learn from Hitler in a way, and as controversial as that may sound, it's true. Like, he was known as to be as an INFJ, and I wouldn't say that I would like to, see him as like a mentor of some sort, but he did have huge influence. And it's just, my nature to think, okay, what could he, how could he have gotten that type of influence? Why did he use his influence in that way? And how could I probably receive the same type of influence, but then use it, or even a better type of influence than he did, a more powerful type of influence, and then use it in a fashion where it's actually going to bring more harmony and more peace to the world rather than more destruction. And so in that sense, you're kind of like taking the good, you're leaving the bad, or you're even learning from the bad what not to do. You're seeing the patterns of what trips up certain people of your type so that you can avoid them. If you're an ESTP and you see all of these other ESTPs from the past, or even like ESTPs that I'm seeing right now, as I watch their interviews, there's a pattern of them saying that, oh yeah, my biggest struggle was procrastination, or not thinking long term, or, I wasn't really doing this, or I didn't use enough tact, things along those lines. Then it's like, okay, let me take note to see what was tripping up all of these ESTPs or even ISTPs, and let's see how I could better use that, how I could learn from that. Then you might look at another character or another type, and then try and pick up from them what exactly they may be doing that could help you out. So if you are an ENFJ like me, and you have all of these problems with details and things along those lines. Now, of course, you could always just hire somebody to be able to handle that stuff for you. But at the same time, you could also look at the ISTJ, who's the ENFJ's opposite type, and see, okay, what exactly do they do? What can I learn from them? And then you could look at maybe people like Mark Zuckerberg, who is an ISTJ, and you can understand what he possibly had done to grow his business, and what type of things that you could learn from him. And so that's pretty much that whole concept of the Avatar Acumen, where in essence, you're not necessarily looking at past people, your past ancestors, but your personality type can be symbolic of that spirit that flows through all of these past people. And then looking at that spirit, you're able to also look at other spirits, which is the other personality types, and learn from them. And once you are doing that, then I think that's a very, very, very huge way of getting into personal development, because now you are learning from the mistakes of other people. You are learning to avoid even getting into your own types of mistakes, and instead you're actually trying to come out as a better version of yourself much earlier than they may have even done so. And sooner or later, who knows? You may even be the Avatar Acumen for people down the line. You never know what your legacy will hold. I hope that I made sense throughout this video. It's a concept that I felt like it wasn't too deep, but at the same time, like every time you start trying to explain concepts, then it's like, okay, is this actually making sense to them? Is this actually landing properly? Did I cover all the bases, all the grounds? Is this like staying consistent? Yada, yada, yada. So I do like to try and like summarize, but yeah, I hope that you guys get it, that in essence, learn from past people of your personality type, learn from present people of your personality type, and learn even from people who are not of your personality type and may be similar to your personality type or even total opposite. Learn from people. Look at people, use them as mirrors, like I've said in past videos, and learn from them. Take the good and intertwine that into your own spirit, into your own behavior, into your own life. And then make sure to continue to go from there. I think I have covered everything now. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave me questions, comments, concerns in the comment section. And follow my Facebook page if you guys haven't seen it yet. I'll be posting lots of like updates and stuff from there. I have been posting them actually. And there's more videos to be coming from here on out. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I think I'm finally done.